Hello guys, welcome back to Tundra Missionary. I am Zach and I am back with another album review. And today we're going to be reviewing Pearl Jam's 10, which is their very first album in their discography. And it has 11 tracks, it is 53 minutes long, and it was made in 1991. And the genres consist of grunge and alternative and hard rock. Although, of course, the band didn't even know about grunge, or grunge wasn't even a real thing in 1991. It just kind of was a subgenre that just kind of evolved. But at the time, the band just considered themselves a hard rock band, which they pretty much are, because most of the tracks on here are harder, heavier songs. So, now considering that Pearl Jam started off with a lot of members who had already had experiences of other older bands that kind of formed into this band. A lot of the tracks on this album were already recorded, and during the time of recording for this album, the only tracks on here that were new during the recording sessions were Porch, Deep, Why Go, and Garden, which everything else was already pre-recorded. So, the majority of the songs in here were originally just instrumental jams, but Eddie Vedder, the lead vocalist of the band, just added all the lyrics later on. And many of the subjects of the songs are based around depression, loneliness, homelessness, dark topics such as that, and suicide. Which, by the way, don't do that. That's bad, very bad. Yes. And also, in 2013, it is the 22nd album to sell 10 million copies in the U.S., which is very impressive. And, yeah. So let's get into the album. So we start off this album here with a track called Once, which is a very popular track. It's not the most popular single today, but back in the day, this was the thing that everybody was jamming to, I imagine, around 1992. Because when this album was first released in 1991, it wasn't very popular. It took a little while for the album to gain its popularity, but once it did, it could even compete with albums such as Nevermind and by Nirvana and Dirt by Alice in Chains. So, once again, a very good hard rocker opening song to the album, not the track. And then the second song, Evenflo, was another very popular single, which you will hear a lot on the radio today. And an interesting thing I found out about this track is that they recorded this track a bunch of times because the band could never get fully satisfied with the way the song was played. And even with the final version, the band was still not quite satisfied with the song. But apparently a lot of fans are, because it is a very popular song. And this song, the lyrics are based around homelessness. The third song, Alive, is probably the first, like, a little bit of a happier sounding song we're getting to. It's an upbeat track, even though it does have a dark story behind it. I think it's something about the character realizing that the father he has is actually his stepfather, and that his real father is dead, is what I believe it's about. So, very dark. The fourth song, Why Go, is a more of a bite-sized track here. And it's also a pretty good song, a very good hard rocker. And then we move on to the fifth song, Black, which is probably Pearl Jam's most commercially successful song as of now, and probably will be for the rest of time. It is a very slow, heavy, one of the most popular grunge tracks in history. And then we reach the sixth song, Jeremy, which might be the darkest song lyrical-wise. It is about a high school. This is actually based on a true story. It is about a high school student who was about 16 years old that committed suicide in front of the class. So, very, very, very dark stuff here. And then we reach the seventh song, Oceans, which is a very different sounding track compared to a lot of the other tracks on this album. It's very slow, and it's the shortest track on the album, being around 2.5 minutes long. But I actually kind of like it. It sounds pretty good. And then we reach the eighth song, Porch, which is probably the song on here that I would consider most to be hard rock. It does have a very profound guitar riff, and the lyrics here are very growly and stuff. You know, Eddie Veller's vocal growls that he's very known for is depicted well in the song. And they reach the ninth song, Garden, which is a more underrated track on this album. It's very grungy, very heavy, and a very good song overall. And then the 10th song, Deep, is another song that I think is very reminiscent to hard rock. Another very good song. And then we end this album on a solemn note with the final song being released, which might be my favorite song on the album. I really enjoy this song. It is one of the slower songs on the track, and it's pretty good. And then it's reaching around 9 minutes long, even though the original song is 5 minutes long. But the last 3 minutes is a little instrumental section to conclude the album. So overall, a very good album. The album itself, like the instruments and stuff, doesn't really sound dark. It's mainly just all the lyrics in the album that are very dark subjects. But the music itself, not necessarily. A lot of it can be upbeat at times, and a lot of it is very heavy at times. So even if you're not a fan of darker, depressing music, this is not a really depressing album at all, in my opinion. It's actually quite good. So, I think that about covers it. So there you go. Pearl Jam's 10. Thank you guys for watching, and I will talk to you later. Farewell.